Pete Montine, our aviation correspondent, who's been breaking developments on this story since it began horribly 24 hours ago. Also, a pilot and flight instructor is with me, along with Brad Bowman, as I mentioned, former Black Hawk pilot who flew this same route. So, Pete, I know that you have been talking to your sources all day, and you've been up for 24 hours almost now working on this story. What is the latest you're learning about what might have happened? I mean, when you just look out here, and anyone who's flown in this airport, I mean, you're in the final seconds. You see the Potomac River, you're ready to get your bags and get off the plane.
This was seconds away from being a near miss, something we have seen so much of in 2023 and 2024. In fact, 2 near misses came under NTSB investigation here at Reagan National Airport. Right now, it is so surreal as somebody who is here at National Airport all the time doing live shots and reporting to see the police boats out in the water still tonight, nearly 24 hours after this crash. What we're learning now is that there was a bit of a switch up in the control tower here at Reagan National Airport, where there was one controller working 2 positions simultaneously, meaning talking to the civilian airliners coming in to land and taking off here, and also the helicopters that transition.
So those would ordinarily be your civilian, your military. These would be delineated, distinguished jobs.
As I understand it, it's typically split up among 2 people. But then when things get slow late in the evening, it's at the discretion of the supervisor in the tower to say, okay, we can combine this position into one. We can have one person do 2 jobs. This is something that will really be key for investigators as they begin to look into this. And no doubt they will want to talk to the controller who is in the tower. Air traffic controllers are really stressed to the max right now. There is an incredible shortage of air traffic controllers nationwide, although we're told here there's not a particular shortage at National Airport, 28 positions in total, 24 of them filled, although many controllers are working mandatory 6-day weeks on 10-hour shifts. It is an incredibly stressful job, and a lot of times fatigue has come into play into some of these incidents that we have seen in 2023 and 2024.
6 days a week, 10 hours a day is not okay.
No.
I think we can all just say that's unacceptable. Brad, you've flown here, you've done this approach, you've probably been exactly where they were. So when you look out there over that water and you think what happened, what are you focusing on?
I served in the 12th Aviation Battalion, the unit involved here for 2 years. I was a military officer and Black Hawk pilot there. I commanded Charlie Company, 12th Aviation Battalion. I've flown this route too many times to count. Before you proceed south along the river, you call the Reagan Tower at Key Bridge, and you say you're at Key Bridge. You don't proceed without their permission. You step down your altitude, and you're at 200 feet, and you keep that 200 feet plus or minus 10, 20 feet. And so as this investigation proceeds, I'm going to really want to see what altitude was that Black Hawk at. And if it was well above 200 feet, that might have been a decisive explanation here for what happened.
The defense secretary is saying a mistake was made during routine training on that. He is referring to an elevation issue.
Right, and in aviator speak, altitude. What altitude were they at? Meter, how far above the ground?
Because you could be in the same place as long as you're not at the same height.
Right. And so this is about deconfliction. As you know, it's deconflicting horizontally and vertically, and you keep the helicopters away from the aircraft landing here by altitude differences and keeping them apart. I had people in Reagan Tower say, speed up, slow down. Do you see that aircraft? Go behind them.
So it's always close.
Well, it can be often depending on the time of day, but we'd fly through here on a regular basis, day and night, training, carrying generals, carrying members of Congress. It's a very normal thing, and it's been around for decades, and it's worked safely during that time until last night. We got to find out why it went wrong last night, fix it so this never happens again.
Pete, there are incidents of close calls with helicopters at this airport. I know there's been 2 occasions where passenger planes had to take evasive measures. So this has obviously not happened before. There have been near misses, though, is the point, because of there being so many aircraft in this area.
The airport is essentially pushed to the limit here. It is bursting at the seams here at Reagan National Airport, and something that will no doubt become a part of this conversation is the fact that Congress, in its FAA reauthorization bill that passed last spring, authorized more flights to come in and out of Reagan National Airport, and that's so symptomatic of an aviation system that is very much.
This itself was a new flight. I mean,
Yeah,
a relatively new flight, the Wichita
and we
flight.
heard from one of the senators in the briefing last night at about 12:45, or this morning at 12:45,
Yeah.
that he said he lobbied for this flight. He lobbied Congress so this flight could be in here. So this is something that so many people, I think, are going to ask about now. And the other thing that's becoming a part of the conversation, and I'm just in a group chat with some of my buddies who are airline pilots, is they fly in and out of DCA all the time, and they know about this helicopter route, this special corridor called Route 4, right on the eastern shore of the Potomac here on the southeast D.C. side. But it's very, very close, and it can be very perilously close to
Are they
final
nervous?
approach.
I mean, I don't mean to be scared, but they're nervous.
No, I mean, they know that they've been nervous before, and pilots get the switch up from controllers occasionally to land on runway 33, the auxiliary runway that's used here occasionally for smaller regional jets, and they know that's pretty close, and so it's in the back of their mind, and they have it now at top of mind.
I mean, and you're watching these planes come in and out, with the pall over this airport, this horrible loss. Brad, just in terms of the crew on this, and you talk about it, you did it too many times to count here.
Right.
This was a training mission. The instructor pilot had 1,000 flight hours. Co-pilot being evaluated had about 500.
Uh-huh.
Is that a lot? Can you put some context around that?
Yeah, sure. So it sounds like you may have had a chief warrant officer to CW2 who was an instructor pilot. Normally, instructor pilots are CW3s or 4s, so a somewhat younger instructor pilot with a respectable amount of hours. A commissioned officer, a captain with about 500 hours. These are experienced pilots, and it was a check ride. I will say that on check rides, the climate in the cockpit changes a little bit. It's more formal. You know this. It can be more tense if you're the one being graded. You
A
don't
check
want to
ride.
fail.
This person was getting tested.
That's
It was a
aviator
test.
language for a test. It's a test that you have once or twice a year. The instructor pilot will sometimes put you into deliberately stressful situations to see how you respond. But in the end, the instructor pilot is responsible for the safety of that aircraft.
All right. Well, I appreciate both of you very much as we try to, understand what happened, just the incredible tragedy and the loss of life. Thank you both.